And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Christopher Brickner. And Christopher Brickner writes, Paramount has delayed the release of Clifford the Big Red Dog movie due to the COVID Delta variant. While this was not going to be one of the biggest films of the year, it is the first movie to be delayed due to the Delta variant and the very first delayed movie in months. Do you think the Delta variant might delay other movies? All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And we were just, kind of touching on and discussing, what kind of impact, if any, did the Delta variant have on, of course, Jungle Cruise. And yes, the news has come out that Clifford the Big Red Dog, not a movie not that I wasn't super excited about going to see, granted. And by the way, Angelo Ortiz sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Angelo. Not a movie that I was jumping up and down and just dying to get out and go see, but a major motion picture being put out by Paramount nonetheless, and it was coming up pretty soon. However, Paramount has just made the decision to pull the plug. They have indefinitely removed it from their release schedule, which basically means at some point they will come up with a new release date for it. But as of right now, it's off the schedule. Now, of course, the immediate morbid question that then has to be raised for the rest of us is, what does this mean for the movies that we actually all really care about? No disrespect to the people who made Clifford the Big Red Dog. That definitely has a demographic of people that are excited for it. I'm just not that demographic, and that's totally fair. But what about movies like Venom? And by the way, we're going to be talking about the new Venom trailer here next, so stay tuned for that. But what does it mean for movies like Shang-Chi? What does it mean for movies like James Bond, No Time to Die, 3 years in the making? What does it mean for movies like The Eternals or Spider-Man No Way Home? What does it mean for movies like Dune? I mean, it does raise a very big question. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Mashable who write, Paramount had planned to release Clifford the Big Red Dog on September 17th. Unfortunately, COVID doesn't give a crap about anybody's plans. The fantasy comedy based on Norman Birdwell's classic children's books has been delayed to a be-decided date. Multiple outlets report that the change in plans is COVID's fault as cases surge in the United States and elsewhere, fueled by the Delta variant of the virus. And that, of course, comes to us from the folks over at Mashable. A week ago, the world, guys, it is crazy how different the world can look in 1 week.
One freaking week.
In 1 week. I was looking at, new numbers in California where I think it was just a week ago, maybe 8 days ago, something like that. New numbers in California, like 2,000 new cases in the day. I think yesterday was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 12,000 in 1 day. And as you see these spikes start to emerge, and California is by far not even getting hit the worst. I mean, there are states in the country that are reporting, again, hospital bed shortages. Our medical professionals are getting stressed to their absolute limits. All these types of things too. And now we see the first potentially domino to fall. Paramount has decided that, we don't think parents are going to want to take their kids to the theaters. So we're going to take Clifford the Big Red Dog out. And I honestly don't blame them right now. But is this a harbinger of things to come? For example, we've got Shang-Chi is supposed to be coming out here pretty soon. I right now think it's 50-50 that it actually hits its release date. I'm 50-50 on it. Then we get into movies like Spider-Man. That's a little bit further down the road. So I'm right at this moment, I am not terribly worried about Spider-Man or anything because it is further down the road. There's time to deal with this. But when you look at the films coming out sooner, Shang-Chi, you look at films like, No Time to Die is coming up. You look at Venom 2, which, again, we're going to be talking about here in a minute. It does raise a lot of questions. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, 2 weeks ago, it's like, guys, we are on the road to recovery. We are free and clear. Thankfully, over half of the population of the United States has taken their vaccinations. A report I was watching on Fox News, of all places, yesterday was reporting that you have a over 90% smaller chance of catching the Delta variant if you are vaccinated than other people, and you are over 94% less likely to be hospitalized if by chance you do catch it.
That's great news.
Oh yeah, it's great news.
Yeah.
If we were living in a country that wasn't filled with science deniers and flat earthers, then it's great news. And believe me, that ain't a political statement. I know people on the left who are science denying flat earthers on this, and people on the right who are science denying flat earthers. And because of folks like you, thanks a lot, we're going to get the movies we've been looking forward to delayed again. There are much worse consequences, but we are here to talk about the movies and the world of movies. And in the world of movies, thanks to you guys, it looks like our movies are going to get delayed again. Thank you very much. Anyway, we are seeing this thing. Yeah, and look, I am not pushing the panic button yet. I'm not hitting that panic button yet. I still think it's a coin toss. I think there is time. Now, I've been hearing some medical professionals saying, look, the reality is, even though there's surges right now, enough of the population has been vaccinated that it's going to prevent us from getting to like the heights of how bad it was like a number of months ago, when it was like we were getting 30,000, 40,000 new cases a day. Like I've read a lot of medical professionals saying, look, we've got enough people vaccinated that we won't get that bad. But it's bad enough that it's making the theaters, consider pulling this thing. And listen, I'm just thinking here, Rob, if they can pull the plug on Clifford the Big Red Dog, they have to be talking about Venom or Shang-Chi. By the way, just a quick note, we will talk about the Venom trailer here in a second, but it is interesting to note that on the new Venom trailer, they do not put a release date. And on the official website at Sony, they don't have an official date either. It just says this fall. The official release date, I believe, is September 24th, but now on the official site, it just lists as this fall. So you already know they're thinking about it. So, Rob, let me put this over to you first. I'm saying it is a complete coin toss right now as to whether or not, and I'm thinking just about the more immediate ones, Venom, Shang-Chi, these are the first ones really coming up here. I think it's a literal coin toss as to whether these get pushed or not. I may change my mind about that tomorrow. What do you think are the odds that we're going to see these movies get delayed again, or conversely, that they will hit their release dates as planned? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm looking at statistics right now, and it says 50.2% of the U.S. population is vaccinated, which is essentially half. Those aren't great numbers in terms of, you'd think that we'd have a predominant amount of the population vaccinated. Now, I understand people's reticence because it is, after all, still an experimental vaccine, and the FDA won't give it full approval even until 2023, but it's working. And the proof is in the pudding. We're seeing there's been, sure, things happen, but for the most part, it has been working. And yet we only have 50% of our population that's vaccinated. We in California, we have a great vaccination program here in this state. Very easy. I think that means there's a tightrope here, John. These COVID cases are taking hold in the unvaccinated, and it's spreading, and young people are now at risk when they weren't before because of the Delta variant. It really depends. But like we saw in the last week, numbers went up, and a week from now they can go back down. So maybe that's what's going to happen.
That's why I think it's a coin toss. That's why right now I'm saying I think it's a coin toss.
I know, and I that's what I have to say. I mean, I don't know. But these movies, look, we've got two huge Disney films coming out. And after you've got Black Widow, and then its precipitous drop, and Jungle Cruise, which I also think had the opening it had because of COVID. Do you release two more Marvel movies in this climate? I mean, right now, if you had to make a decision right now, I would say it's 50, like you said, it's 50-50, man. I don't know if I ran Disney, would I want to release my films day and date, even if, Shang-Chi and Eternals are not premiere access films. They're going to be theatrical only films. And would you do it? I don't know if I would.
It's a tough thing to call. Like I said, I'm at a place right now where I wouldn't blame, I obviously still want them to release these things.
Me too.
I mean, here's an example. Ann and I, we have tickets to go see Hamilton when it reopens at the Pantages Theater here shortly. And Pantages just sent out a notification saying, you are going to be required to show your vaccination card to get into their theater. They're simply not going to let people in their theaters unless you're vaccinated. Because they know that a lot of people might feel nervous about going to the theater and being around people who aren't. And so they're requiring, they say, and they said in their news posting there, that basically said, look, for the health and safety of our customers, of our patrons, and our staff that we have to protect, we are going to require that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't like requiring shit from people.
Yeah.
But man, I'm almost to the point where, like, for me to be able to go see these movies, AMC require people to show proof of vaccination to let them in. Require it. That way, families, if they want to go see it, they know they're not bringing their kids around, irresponsible people who don't want to be vaccinated. I mean, I don't know. I'm not at that point yet. I'm just hyperbolizing out loud. I'm not at that point yet. But God, there's a part of me that kind of wishes theaters would do that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
You went to the Hollywood Bowl with Anne and had a delightful time seeing, was it Princess Bride?
We
with
saw
the
the
live
Princess
orchestra?
Bride in concert. Yes.
Did you feel at the Hollywood Bowl, by the way, nice seats. Did you feel did you feel safe?
I did feel safe. And the main reason I felt safe, well, there was two things. Obviously, a lot of people, I mean, LA County, the vaccination numbers are much higher than traditional,
Yes.
than the average across the country. So there's that. Number two, you are outdoors. You're outside, which they all say makes a major difference. And there were a lot of people still there in masks. I think there were a lot of people still there in masks. And Ann and I, we were in a private box section. So we weren't crammed in like where we normally, where Ann and I normally sit in the Hollywood Bowl is up in the main section where we're crammed in on the benches with everybody.
You had VIP seats.
We treated ourselves.
You did.
Ann and I treated ourselves to this private box right up at the front of the stage where we could have a table and dinner brought in. So
Daddy had some sweet seats.
Oh yeah, Ann got them for us, and that was Ann's little present to us. And I was like, "This is," because we went there, and I was like, I just expected we were going to be sitting where we normally are. And then we walked in, and we made the right hand turn to go to the private boxes. I'm like, "Did you get us boxes?" She goes, "Of course." I'm like, "Wow, this is like it's fancy underwear night tonight." I mean, that's it's like taking us down. So yes, because of all those factors involved, and of course, Ann and I are vaccinated. So, we of course feel very safe when we go out and stuff like that. But anyway, it was a good time. Not normally what we do for ourselves, but we treated ourselves that night, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah. And by the way, guys, so you get a chance. Oh, can I just say, Rob Reiner, his son, Rob Reiner, the director of Princess Bride, came out and introduced the film.
Shut up.
And yeah, he came out and introduced the movie and the orchestra, and he talked about how they got the music. "Our love is like a storybook story." He tells a story about how they got that song in the first place. He literally had a phone call from his buddy in Europe saying, "Listen to this guy's song," and held the phone up to the guy playing it. And Rob Reiner's listening to it and goes, "That's how we got the score for Princess Bride." And anyway, so what they do with these things is they play the movie on the screens, but without the soundtrack. And then the orchestra that was conducted by John Williams' protege, David Newman. David Newman conducted the orchestra, and they had the guitar player on there and the music. And, it's been a beat since I've seen Princess Bride. It's a perfect movie.
And to see it like that?
Oh, it was so good. And the audience, and it was so good. Every time Andre the Giant had a line, the audience just cheered. Just cheered. "Hello, lady," and everybody cries and cheers for Andre. Whenever he says, "My name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepared to lie," the audience went crazy.
You just hear an echo of everyone.
It was such a good time. It was such a good time. Anyway, that we got off on a total sidetrack there, guys. And the big question for you, everybody, is, what do you think the chances are, now that we've seen, not a movie that's so big on a lot of our radars, but Clifford the Big Red Dog has been delayed. Do you think that is the harbinger of things to come? Do you think, like Rob was accurately saying, the world changes in a week, man? A week from now, we might see the numbers start going down again. I don't know. But right now, what do you guys think are the chances? I'd love for you to jump in the comments and actually give me a percentage. What are the chances that movies like Shang-Chi and Venom 2 actually hit their release dates? If you think it's a really good chance they stick their release dates, say a high percentage. If you think they're going to get delayed, put a low percentage. What do you guys think right now? Jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.